Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Cycling Dane channel. Today, we're going to be looking at the Ineos Grenadiers team for the Tour de France, who, of course, has had a bit of change after we know what happened with Egan Bernal earlier in this year. As always, I'm delighted to be joined by Mr. Critical himself, Ewan. And Ewan, what is the story here?
Well, this morning, the morning of the 9th of March, 2022, an article was published in Cycling News, an article which interrogated Rod Ellingworth, one of the team staff members at Ineos Grenadiers, to discuss what's happening with the Grand Tour plans at Ineos Grenadiers. And the big headline here is that there's a little bit of a reshuffle, but now Carapaz will remain as their Giro d'Italia leader, whilst Adam Yates will go into the Tour de France with the aim of GC hopes there, and with the aim of getting yellow with Filippo Ganna. Those are the two goals for the Tour de France, whilst Rod is not certain of a return from Egan Bernal in time for the Tour de France. He said that the Vuelta a España is more open, that they'll work with that race maybe for Egan Bernal later this year, but the Tour will be a British affair once again. Elsewhere, well, Tom Pidcock's program is up in the air, as is Geraint Thomas's, but Pidcock, who was initially scheduled to ride the Giro d'Italia, might be swapped for the Tour de France, depending on how tired he is after his busy Spring Classics campaign. So quite a few headlines there really to analyze and go through, but the main one there being Adam Yates now as the main principal leader of the Tour de France as they accept a Bernal void team.
We were talking about this on the stream on the extra channel about Adam Yates' credentials as GC rider. Of course, he's had a number of Tour de France's under his belt already, 5 to be precise. In 2016, he had that phenomenal result where he finished 4th, where he incidentally also picked up the white jersey. And then 2020, we all remember that he had the yellow jersey and finished 9th overall. And now he has this very strong GC team behind him. I would never call Bike Exchange or whatever iteration a strong GC team for a Tour de France. So, Ewan, do you think he is the right rider to focus on? Last year they had Carapaz 3rd overall. Do you think Yates is a better rider than Carapaz?
I think Carapaz was a bit of an accident as well. They came in with Thomas and their British group, but that didn't really work out in the end. This year, well, Yates, I think, is a really strong leader for this. He's ridden the Tour de France before. He's worn the yellow jersey back in 2020. I think he's certainly a team leader, 4th place at last year's Vuelta a España behind Primož Roglic, who won there. This year, I think it's going to be interesting. Yates is one of the few riders that can challenge Pogacar. We've seen it at the past 2 years of the UAE Tour. He's one of the few riders who can actually follow Pogacar when he attacks. So maybe Yates is the guy instead of Bernal, because Bernal doesn't seem to be quite as sprightly as Pogacar. He hasn't really clashed with Roglic and Pogacar with much success since the COVID restart. So he looks like a good leader. The course, we have one long time trial, but Adam Yates is proving that his time trialing is getting a little bit better throughout the years. But I'm not expecting race victory at all for Adam Yates. I think it will go to a Slovenian of some sorts. But looking elsewhere with this team, well, we can have a wild card in the ranks somewhere.
Yeah, actually, the only rider to beat Tadej Pogacar at the UAE Tour, that is something. Beating Tadej Pogacar in any stage race is definitely noteworthy. But yeah, anyways, looking towards the rest of the team as well, provisionally, Michael Kwiatkowski, Pavel Sivakov, the French rider, Danny Martinez in support. You mentioned Filippo Ganna, Jonathan Castrovejo, Geraint Thomas, Dylan Van Baal. Do you think this is a team that could guide Yates to the podium?
Yes, I think it is. I think this is actually a really strong team. I'm expecting maybe they draft in a Luke Rowe type or someone like that to help them. But this is a really, really strong squad. Michal Kwiatkowski is an excellent teammate. He's made some big moves in the past for the team, and he's got a lot of experience. And he's a real racer. He's been said by many team managers to be one of the best actual racers in the world, where he just moves around a peloton and so forth. We have Pavel Sivakov, who's now French. He's starting his home race as we actually pass through his region on one of the days of the race. He's going to be really useful. He's had a bad luck in the past 2 Grand Tours he started, but I'm hoping for good things from him as he will be a teammate here. Also, Daniel Martinez, who I think could be a really, really crucial rider in that race. We're going to see how Yates and Martinez go later this week in Paris-Nice, But Martinez is a fantastic rider, top 10 at last year's Giro d'Italia. He's won a stage of the Tour de France in the past. He's ridden the race. I'm expecting big things from him. But we also have this whole Ghana situation, but we've spoken about that previously on the channel. Go check out those videos. But Ghana's going to be vital. I think he could be a secret weapon that no other team can really rival.
Where would Tom Pidcock fit into this team? Would he just be there for experience and potentially challenge for a stage here or there?
I don't think Tom Pidcock does fit in this team, if I'm quite honest. A bit like last year's Volta España, he didn't really have a place because it was more of a GC team. This time as well, similar thing. He doesn't really have a place in this team to hunt stages or to try to challenge. It's going to be difficult, I think, for him to really contend it. If I'm honest, I think going to the Giro is the better plan. He might be tired after what's going to be a busy Spring Classics campaign. You don't usually get riders going straight from the Classics into the Giro. That doesn't really happen. But I'm hoping that is possible for Pidcock this year. I think there's more chances to win stages there. But at the same time, they have Carapaz going for GC in that race as well. So who knows what this race could bring.
So anyways, on the flip side on this announcement, as you mentioned, Richard Carapaz going to the Giro once again, the 2019 champion. And do you think potentially Carapaz has a chance here to rival the likes of Joao Almeida and so forth?
Certainly, I think Carapaz is actually up there for a certain podium place. He's one of the most consistent riders of our generation, and he's going to be starting that race. It's been confirmed in this interview as well that Tao Geoghegan Hart will continue to start that race. We're seeing that Elia Viviani as well is on the start lane, so is Richie Porte, so is Ethan Hayter. So I think this is a more interesting team, a little bit more open-ended, but Carapaz will be this leader to try and get his second Giro d'Italia victory, which looks a little bit more certain than an Adam Yates Tour de France victory. But it's a good Ineos squad. A lot of experienced riders here that could hunt down stages.
That team sounds a bit like too many chefs, not enough sous chefs, if I'm honest. And putting Pidcock into that team as well, if he has aspirations as well, who's going to be working for who? Richie Porte doing everything?
Maybe. I think that there's an awful lot of guys here. We're also seeing Ben Tullett might start, another British cyclocross rider. Ben Tullett, Tom Pidcock, Ethan Hayter, quite similarly punchy riders. Three of pretty much the same type of rider. If Carapaz here to try to go for GC, you've got Porte and Geoghegan Hart as well as former Grand Tour contenders. Maybe they try to go for something, who knows. Then you have Elia Viviani here for a sprint, maybe. It's an awful lot going on, maybe too much going on, but we'll wait and see. This could be either a really clever team or an absolute calamity on the road. One or the other.
So yeah, we'll have to wait and see for that. The Giro coming up soon-ish. So anyways, with that, thank you very much for listening, watching, whatever you're doing. And make sure to hit the subscribe button, hit the like, and of course, as always, we will see you around.